Hello and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you today on behalf of Degussa to this special artist task today as part of the Zurich Art Weekend. My name is Sandro Eichenberger. I'm the CEO of Degussa Switzerland, and as a silver partner of the Zurich Art Weekend, we are really proud to support initiatives that create space for dialogue, inspiration, and meaningful exchange. Art has a unique ability to connect people across different backgrounds, perspectives, and experiences. And today's conversation reflects exactly that spirit. We are honored to welcome today Ken Nwadiogbu, winner of the Young Generation Award 2026. Established by Degussa in collaboration with Monopol Magazin, the award recognizes outstanding emerging voices in contemporary art. Ken's work moves seamlessly between abstraction and hyperrealism, exploring themes of identity, belonging, and perception with extraordinary depth and sensitivity. His artistic language transcends borders and opens new perspectives, making him to one of the most compelling artists of his generation. I'm equally pleased to welcome Elke Buhr, who will guide us through today's conversation and share deeper insights into Ken's creative work and artistic vision. At Degussa, we believe that preserving value is not about only precious metals. It's also about supporting creativity, culture, and ideas that endure beyond generations. This is why initiatives as the Young Generation Art Award are especially meaningful to us. Before we begin, I would also like to draw your attention to our prize draw. We warmly welcome you to participate. You can find a QR code on your seat, and maybe with a little bit of luck, you can win some gold. In addition, I encourage you to visit our Degussa store here in Zurich, where the remarkable sculpture Usagi Hasin by Leikia Ikemura will be exhibited over the upcoming 2 weeks. We are delighted to share this exceptional work with the public. Following the task, we would be very happy for you to join for an apéro to continue the discussion together. Thank you for being here this Sunday morning, and please join me welcoming Elke Buhr and Ken Nwadiogbu.
Hello, thank you very much, Sandro Eichenberger. Thank you, the Zurich Art Weekend, for having us. And thank you, Ken, for being here. I'm really excited. And first, I would like to maybe say some more words about the Young Generation Art Award. We created this together with Degussa Goldhandel 2 years ago, so this is the second winner. And it's a prize for emerging artists under 35. And we had an open call when he the year he won, and we had like more than 300 applications from Germany and other countries, very international, and it was really fun to look at all those applications. It was a lot of work, but it was also really fun, and it was very inspiring to see how many young artists have so many ambitions and so great ideas, and they really want to pursue their career in art, and they're so talented. And so I think it's a very nice way to support people just at that point of the career. So the Young Generation Art Award is meant for people who are really just entering the art world, who just finished their studies maybe, and who are trying the first steps on this very difficult way to really become an artist. Because you can have a lot of talent, but will you have success in the art world? Those are two totally different things, and this prize tries to help a little bit. And we have a short list always of 5 artists, and this short list is presented in Monopol Magazin in a big feature. And then there is also an exhibition of the shortlisted artists in the Degussa place in Berlin. And then there's a jury, and in the jury in the last 2 years was always also the museum director Yilmaz Givior for Museum Ludwig in Cologne, so it's a very renowned jury. And then one artist is chosen, and he gets a prize of 10,000 euros, and he gets things like presenting his work on the Zurich Art Weekend. So I'm happy, Ken, that we're here together, and at first I also want to draw your attention to the paintings that we brought. Those are two of Ken's very special works. And just to say some more words about Ken, he was born in Nigeria, in Lagos, and he studied in London. And I think his work still combines the two worlds. And when we met or when we had our first conversations, I thought it was very funny how you told me how you became an artist, because you said, well, Nigerian parents, they want something else from the kids. So how's the story? How did you become an artist?
That's a very interesting question. I don't know if you know African parents. They want three things. They want a medical doctor, they want an engineer, and they want a lawyer. Anything else, they don't care about it. So my brother was the medical doctor, my sister was the lawyer, and I was the engineer. Perfect family. But yeah, I am stubborn-headed. And while I was in school studying engineering, I used to do caricatures. I never knew realism, right? And when you look at the Nigerian art world, you never really see the art world as viral as how it is in London. So I wasn't really exposed to art in Nigeria. All I was exposed to was roadside paintings, and those were very quick paintings of portraitures, So I'm in school doing the caricature, and my friends come and tell me, oh, you should go see somebody who is making a drawing. I was like, okay, let me go see it. And there was this young student who was making one of the best, most incredible hyper-real drawing at that time. And immediately my whole body just vibrated. I was like, how did you do this? I want to know how to do that, If you look at the Nigerian art world, or the Nigerian art back in the days, there were less hyper-real work. Right, we were more expression based. We were not as literal as hyperrealism. So when I saw it, it was new to me. I never knew that existed at all. So I started to get into hyperrealism. Started to learn, train. From learning, it got to obsession really quick. And to be honest, I don't know what happened to me. I just got really obsessed with making work. And I've been making art and making art. In fact, I gave my parents so much stress. Oh my God. They almost had an intervention for me. They sat me down. All of them were like, why are you doing this? You are a very good engineering student. Why do you want to be an artist? There is no money. There is no career in the art world, because they're in Nigeria. They don't know what's happening around the world. But I was exposed to the internet, right? So I would watch videos by David Hockney or like Ben and Wong, and I would see the passion and I would see what they do, and I'd be like, I want to do that, I want to be that, and it took a lot of determination and stubbornness to actually finish engineering and go straight into art. Like, I didn't waste any second. My mom was like, you have to finish engineering. So I said, okay, I was going to finish engineering and give them certificate, and once I do that, I'm free to, practice what I want to practice. So after I did that, I became an artist. They were so upset about it for like 2 years until I started to make a bit of money. And then they were like, okay.
And now they're happy again.
Now they're great.
Seeing you as a prize winner of the Young Generation Art Award must have made them very happy, right?
Yeah. It's also, I don't blame them,
Yeah.
I used to blame them I used to get upset before, but I don't blame them, They want the best for their kid.
Sure.
So they felt making a very terrible decision. Mm-hmm. But I have this mentality and this idea, and of course I study a lot, so I know that it works. If you really believe in what you're practicing and what you want to go through, if you really believe in it, there is no way you will not break through. There is no way at all. So I think that was what happened to me. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So let's come to the point. How did you get into the Royal Art Academy in London?
Oh yeah, that's an interesting question as well. This was so 2019. I had a show in London, my first solo show in London, and it was really packed. It was really amazing. So when I got back to Nigeria, I started to think of the idea of being in London, but I never really went towards it. And before my dad passed away in 2020, he told me, say, if you want to pursue art, you can pursue art, but make sure you go to school. Just make sure you go to school. Make sure you try to get into school. So when he passed away, I saw it as my mission to try and get into school. So I applied for 3 schools, one in UK, one in the US, one in France. And I got the Royal College of Arts, but it was so expensive. So I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? So I was trying to save up money to pay. And, and lo and behold, I got the full scholarship. And that's how I moved to London.
Oh, got a full scholarship.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I
great,
did.
great. And well, you started with hyperrealism. Yeah. But what we see now is not only hyperrealism. I think the interesting thing, or what intrigued us, like as the jury, about your art was this combination of different styles. So how did this abstract background come into the picture?
Yeah. So like I said, Nigeria is not. We didn't have hyperreal works in Nigeria, right? Like you had it in Rome, or like you had people like Da Vinci and Michelangelo really practicing that. We had masks, which was interesting and very good before the demonization of mask happened in Nigeria, where if you had mask, an African mask, it felt like you are serving some demonic, and it was so bad because
really?
Yeah, it was so bad because my mom wouldn't even have me close to an African mask.
But so that cuts you off from
the culture,
from the history.
Exactly. And I think one of it was Christianity.
Okay.
I'm a
so
Christian.
It's colonialism that kind of took away your heritage in a way for you.
It did. It's now we are starting to get back into that space of talking about culture and talking about these things that we were demonized, when we were younger, and how important they are to our way of life now. So
I was asking about how did the abstraction get into your
artwork? Sorry.
Yeah. And I was just seeing you in the studio of Frank Bowling, but that's your
yes.
story.
So there weren't lots of hyperreal work. So when I got into art, it was because I saw a hyperreal work, and I was like, oh, that's different. I want to do that. And I think that drew my interest. But while I was doing hyperrealism, I started to figure out new artists, I started to see new works. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I started to think about hyperrealism. You see, hyperrealism is a representation of an image. So you take a picture of a moment, and you make a painting of that moment. You've literally made a hyper-realistic work, But I started to think, but a picture of a moment doesn't necessarily talk about the moment. It's just one part of the moment, one part of the experience. There's a lot the experience has. There's a lot of extra details that the experience has. And how do I create work that can have an image of the moment, the mood, the expression, the feeling? How can I bring all of these things to kind of talk about an experience rather than talking about the picture or an image of the experience? So I started to think, and I started to research, and that's when I started to fall in love with people like Tunyi Ojutola and Nengi Omuku. And I started to realize that, there is contemporary ways of representing reality. So I coined this word, which was very funny, called contemporary realism. And for me, it was, how can I understand realism in art to bring contemporary forms into my hyperreal work? And so that's how I started to do. I started with collages. I started with so many other other addition into my work, until while I was in RCA, they took me. I had a few trips to Frank Bolin's studio, and that was it. I saw his work.
Frank Bowling is one of the most important Afro-British abstract artists, and yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best. And you know the funny thing, I used to think that very successful artists have really big studios. Frank Bowling's studio is so small.
Yeah, but he's a very humble man, isn't he?
Yes, and it's amazing because then you realize that great artwork doesn't have to come from big studios. It can come from the small ones, you know, because he would take his canvas and drape it on the floor and let it fall, and then he would make the painting, and because of the way the canvas is installed, the painting would drip, and it was so interesting to me. And I started to think, oh, okay, so you have to work with the space and let the space determine the work, and that's what the abstract part of the work is to pour the paint on the canvas, and whatever the paint does, however the floor is, you know, however the canvas is bent, the paint starts to flow and mix with the work. And I liked that experience.
So, and how do you do this with, like, when we look at those works now, how is the background created?
Oh, so that's what I do is I take acrylic paint, mix it with water, get like red, yellow, green, blue, and a couple of colors, and then I listen to music. And I like the idea of listening to music and being in the moment, because when I do the realistic part of the work, it's more concentrated. I'm more focused. But when I'm doing the abstract work, I want to go back. I want to fall back and just express myself. So I'm just throwing paint on the canvas, smashing paint on the canvas, using every means of emotion to just kind of create something. And sometimes it stays. I come back the next day. I like, okay, I need to add more, and I add more, and add more until I see that it's good enough for the main painting. And always, many of the times, it fits with the main painting, because when you have the painting there, it kind of just connects. You have the emotional part of the image and both the visual part of the image. Yeah.
Sounds fun, actually.
Oh yes, it's before this, I would know how my work would look like at the end.
Yeah.
But with this, I have no clue how it ends. And I think that's the most important part of the work.
You give yourself in the hands of faith.
Yeah, yeah. And then you make a lot of work you don't like, but that's the good thing. When you have works you like and works you don't like in the same space, it changes what you think is beautiful or what you think is nice.
And do you throw a lot away? Do we always say, okay, no, that's not it? Because I know many artists.
No, I hide it in the studio. they're all hidden somewhere in the studio.
So we could I could just visit you in your studio and look at all the hidden works, and I would see what you don't like.
You are gonna laugh about. You are gonna laugh. I think it's beautiful to do work that. Because when you start looking at the work and you're like, oh, there's a lot of errors in the work, but you finish it. I like to finish the work and keep it aside, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember I was watching an interview with Kerry Marshall, and he was like, it's not every work you create that needs to be public. You know, some work need to be in the studio to remind you of your journey and the practice that you have.
Oh, that's a beautiful thought. So it's still part of you. It's still part of you, and you just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it's there.
Yeah. Life is not always beautiful, is it?
Right.
But you
we
look
do
at
make,
the
we
good
do
part
make
of it.
mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some
true.
of us make mistakes.
Yeah.
So to come back to the works that we see, because it's always nice to talk about what is there. So who are the figures in those images?
Oh, they're my friends. They're my cool friends. They.
We do see that they are very cool.
Yeah. Oh, I have really cool friends. Fashion-wise, everything is always on point. But I think I was really inspired by the late David Hockney.
Who just died.
Yeah, he just passed away. Yeah. I watched all his videos, and one thing he kept saying was to really paint your reality, your life, your experience, you know? And so what I do these days is anywhere I go with my friends, I'm on my phone. And I'm sure you've seen me just taking pictures every time.
All right.
I love taking pictures. I think is a way to capture an experience as an image. So, of course, I can only take pictures of my friends, and actually tell their story in some way, or tell my story through them, So, there are images of my friends. That was shot in Nigeria, the one with the lines with the K, and this was shot in London. Yes.
And why are they yellow?
Yellow. Yeah. They are yellow because yellow, as in my during my my university degree as an engineer, I was really taught color theory, And the reason why I was taught color theory was because we were using something called the thermal camera. And thermal camera is like a camera that you can see temperature,
Oh.
You can see temperature through colors, And I remember those days my lecturer would say, "Do you know why it's yellow?" And we're like, "Why?" "Because it's the hottest part, because it's the brightest part, And then I started to think, okay, yellow, the brightest part of the image. And so we learned about color theory, and yellow is the brightest color that the human eye can see. That's why you see it in taxis, you see it in signboards. So I was trying to talk about visibility, Most of these, my friends, they are regular people, One of them is a hairstylist. The guy is a tech guy, but you would not see them at the forefront of anything, So my idea was to paint my reality, paint my friends as visible as I could, and so the yellow was very important to me in the work. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also about to give another image of blackness, right? Of
Yes.
black life.
Yeah. It's because when I saw black paintings, they were always done with dull colors, which is I like that, to some extent, because it becomes like almost a signature.
Yeah.
But I'm a vibrant person,
Yeah.
I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm not dull, I'm so vibrant. So
Right.
the idea of the work was to make the work as vibrant as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were just talking about Kerry James Marshall, and
Yeah.
like when he paints black life, it's black,
It's black, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's sucking all the light.
Yeah.
And that's his way of
Of representing
that, and
his
you're
reality.
going just the opposite way.
Yeah. I wouldn't say the opposite way.
No, but another way.
Another
You're
way,
using
yeah.
another way. You're
Another way, yeah.
But still, it's important for you to paint predominantly the black community, right? Or
Yes.
is it just because it's your friends, or is it also a concept, an idea you want to represent that especially?
That's a good question. I think it's because of the work. I think the moment where the work wants me to paint other races, I don't think I'm going to stop myself from doing that. But for now, these are the people I'm always with, I'm always going out with, we're always hanging out, So these are the images that I always try to create. But if I were to paint other races, I think for me it would be from the perspective of blackness, from the perspective from my perspective, how do we relate to the rest of the world? How are we, what is our goal or our position, in a global context? That's the kind of, I think the kind of tension I'm trying to bring in the work. Yeah.
And is it also like the experience being in London, being in white, being in Europe? What did that change for you in your attitude?
I think it made me want to really talk about black experience more. Because back in Nigeria, I didn't know I was not a black man, I was a man. All my friends were the same race. Like I didn't understand my blackness. I hear it on TV, but it's just TV, When I got to London, then it was clear that I was a black man. I was an African man. Even in my mannerisms, in the way I speak, everybody said, "Oh, why are you shouting?" I'm like, "I'm not shouting."
I'm just
They're like, "You're
talking."
shouting." I'm like, So I had to learn how to kind of calm down, and but to some extent, you see those kind of things in my work. You see how vibrant and how explosive it is. It's just, me trying to talk about my experience in London from my perspective. The culture shock, the fact that we are, lonely and left, so many things that happen, so many experiences that happen. I try to fuse it into my work.
Yeah, but you're turning it into the positive side, It's not like, I mean, those images, do they talk about racism? No, they talk about strength,
Oh,
right?
no, yes, 100%, 100%. One thing my mom told me was, you can't change the world by talking about the bad things in the world. That's no way to change the world, because what you're literally doing is of course, yes, you need to know that these things exist. But what you're doing, especially with art, if you start to make art that was very, very, because I used to do that before. When I was in Nigeria, we had this thing called the NSAS protest. And the NSAS protest was where we are protesting against the police killing young kids, and it didn't make any sense because of you keep locks or you have your earring, you are completely bad,
Okay.
to the police. So I was so vibrant in talking about the problems and the struggles.
You were angry.
I was so angry, but every time I went to the studio, it was just issues and issues and issues going on. And I that's what my mom said. This thing now that I put into my mind, like, you cannot change the world. You cannot make the world think good if you keep talking about the bad part of the world. So I started to look at it from a different perspective. How can I talk about the good part, but then touch on the bad part of what's happening? How can I talk about the resilience and the power and the excitement of being a black man, but then use that as a repellent to what's actually happening in the world today?
Yeah, I understand. So let's talk about the materials that you're sometimes using, because that's also an interesting connection to the Nigerian culture that you're using. So what is it? You have to explain it yourself.
So the material is called, I paint on aquite fabric. If you look very close, if you go close to the painting, you see that it's not canvas. It's a particular kind of fabric. And my interest in painting on the fabric was because I still wanted something that felt like home, that had home with my work. I'm an Igbo man. I'm from the east part of Nigeria. And there is only one place you can get this fabric. It's called the Aquite Village. It's an Aquite fabric. And so when I was in Nigeria last year, February, when I was last in Nigeria, 2024, I think, I went back to Nigeria and I was researching materials. And then I remember my mom had loads of this fabric. So I picked the first one that she had and I made a painting on it. And what happened with the painting is that because of the fabric is the way it is woven, or I don't know, the way it's made, when you paint on it, when a light shines on it, it kind of shines. It's a very interesting thing that it does to the painting. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing to see. Let me use more of the fabric. And then I just, got caught up, and I went to Abia State, and I met the women who make the fabric. All women is a big village, right? And we spoke to them. We even did a short documentary of it. And then we had them, like, we worked with them to make loads of the fabric, and I took it back to London, and I started making all these works. Yeah.
And what is it originally made for? Does it have a special meaning? Or
Yes.
special scope?
So the fabric is usually for ceremony,
For clothes?
weddings.
Or
Yeah,
for
clothes.
Okay.
Yeah, they use it to make this big gown or like a wrapper or something, and it's thick. So you don't need too many layers. You just need one gown and you're fine. Yeah.
And you stretch it like a canvas.
Yeah, so I stretch it like a canvas. But one thing I do is that I paint at the back of the fabric. So if you go around the work and you look at the back of the work, which is the front of the fabric, you'll be able to see the designs that were made by the women. And I wanted to keep that part of the work because I wanted to almost feel like a collaboration I was having with these women. Yeah.
Yeah, great. we've been seeing some images of your work also, and there are also some installations. So you're also going into the room. Do you want to talk about that? How you're doing that?
I'm hoping to do that in freeze.
Yeah,
I'm hoping to do something like that in freeze because I started to. I'm a big lover of artists like what's his name? Artists that really use the space. You know, that really, you know, use the architecture of the space. And as a civil engineer, as somebody who works with buildings, I always think of the space as part of the work. So I'm always considering how I can elevate the space, how the space can tell a kind of story. So the work that you saw as in the slide in the space with the mirrors, it was 420 mirrors, and it was to kind of represent how, because when we enter a space, the whole space changes. You know, but you don't know it changes. You don't know that your energy has changed the space. But with the mirrors, once you enter, because the mirrors are a bit kind of concave, so you see yourself in all these different sides. So just you entering the space completely changes the room, you know, and that was kind of the conversation I was trying to have with the work. So I like working with spaces and seeing how I can upgrade the space to tell a kind of story. Yeah.
And so, to explain this a little better, he will show exhibition at Frieze in London, at the Frieze Art Fair, together with Degussa. And so, can you tell us what you're planning? Or is it a secret? No, you're going to tell us a little bit.
Well, I'm hoping to change this, to do kind of like an installation of the space, have some paintings, and really do a performance.
A performance?
I really want to do a performance.
Have you ever done performances?
Oh, yeah, one time. But it was never documented.
Okay.
And I'm so sad about that. I danced I danced so much. I danced so much. I was jumping and moving my face, and I was like, who recorded it? Nobody took a shot. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do it in freeze, and everyone is going to see it, because I'm making there is this, going back to African culture, right, that was demonized, right? You think of, I used to back in the days, when I was younger, my mom would take us to the East, where I was from, and would go and see a masquerade. I don't know if you know masquerade, like people wearing big regalias of African designs, you know, and they would dance, and all we youths would gather around the masquerade and watch it dance. And it was so exciting that I became a dancer. I became a dancer. I had a dance crew. We never got paid.
Oh, you
but
never
we did.
told me that. Now everything is coming out. Okay, so you're a dancer.
Yeah, I was a dancer. We had a dance crew. We did like, I think 6 shows. Never got paid for one, but it was so exciting for us. It was so exciting for us. And so, but I left it for a while. But now I'm going back to it. I'm going back to it with the concept of the masquerade, with the regalia of a masquerade, just to give an expression, to talk about the culture, and to also kind of perform in a way that it attracts people to see the value of what the work is.
Okay, and so it will be only you, or are you gathering some people for the performance?
No, just me.
Okay.
But I'm thinking there might probably be you know, just a very little sound. But most importantly, I really want to just express myself. I want to use every form of expression, performance, installation, painting, to kind of just tell my story, and you know, and excite people. You know, Freeze. I went to Freeze last year. You know, I didn't see a performance. I went Freeze last 2 years. I didn't see a performance. And I'm like, oh, people probably need a performance.
Yeah, they do. They do. And I think that they certainly need performances the way you are doing them.
Oh, yes. Oh, they have no idea what I'm coming with.
Okay, Freeze, watch out. London, watch out. Ken is coming.
But it's fun, because if I was an engineer, no offense to civil engineers, but if I was a civil engineer, how am I going to be performing?
Yeah,
I'm not going to be making a building and performing, you know. So I think the fact that I did art, the fact that I chose art, I don't even know why I chose it, but the fact that art called me, I felt like there was a purpose for it. And I want to really let everything out. I want to just bring everything out, all my skills, all my talents, everything I've learned over the years.
Yeah. And I mean, the success that you're having is quite impressive, isn't it? I mean, your people are waiting for your paintings to be finished. Yes.
Love to Eva from Christian Yalagat Gallery, my gallery.
How does it feel? How does it feel when you're like in the center of attention, also of the market?
I don't feel it.
You don't feel it?
Oh my God. I'm in the studio working every day. I'm even more upset, like, I need to work. I need to make more work. I don't feel it. I think it's moments like these where I go to the dinner, the Zurich dinner, that I get to relax and actually experience good, But when I'm back in the studio, it's like, I don't even know. Like, I'm so locked in. Because I've always... The attention has always been there. Even before I went to London, I've had like millions of retweets and likes and
you're some kind of a social media star when you were when you were starting as an artist. You were like going viral.
CNN, BBC, everyone. So I'd had a taste of that, and
then did that stop? Like, are you still?
No, it didn't stop. But I think I'm more detached from all of that, and now I'm more focused in the work.
On the serious artwork. But is there a difference between like high and low, or pop culture and serious art, or are you trying to navigate like between that?
No, I just like what I like.
You just don't care about the
I don't care about all of
categories.
that. I don't care about all of that. That's why I coined the term contemporary realism, just to make me just free enough to explore what my work can be without necessarily having all these different extra restrictions that the art world has kind of put into the artist. But I think I just love what I love, and my goal is to try and make what I love as good as I want, and people are going to see that, I think.
Yeah. So, what was the experience with the Young Generation Art Award for you? How was that? I mean, it's been
amazing.
It's been a whole year that we've been in interaction and meeting each other and having shows, and then the prize, and now this. So, how is it for you?
Amazing. I can't it's one of the moments in my life that wasn't expected. This whole last year I never had any clue that all of this would happen, and then I won the award, and I became the finalist, and I was like, oh well, it's just an award, and I go to the award show, I'm like, what? Amazing, isn't it? Like the space, the organization, everything was just amazing, and to be honest, it made me feel proud of what I do.
Sure, you can be proud.
Yeah, it made me feel proud of what I do. It made me actually like feel very emotional. Like, wow, like this all made sense at the end. Not at the end, but it's all making sense. So after the award, and I won, and all the things that came after that, and even this talk we're having now is a blessing to me, and I don't take it for granted. Yeah.
Okay. So is there any advice? I mean, it's so funny to ask people as young as you for advice but maybe there's somebody who's even younger and not and even studying and trying to find his way. So what would your advice be?
Watch a lot of videos from other great artists so that you get the right advice. I think I'm still trying to figure out myself. But one thing I believe in is that if you are true to your work and you don't care about what's going on, because I've had people tell me, oh, Ken, stop doing realism. Make it smudgy, Make it like rough it a bit, Don't do this, Don't make the yellow. Make it black. I've had so many, and all these are coming from like huge professionals, curators that are very esteemed,
Curators are telling you
what you have no idea.
Really? Oh my God.
Not my galleries, though. She's amazing. Anyways.
Again.
Again. But I've had people do that, and sometimes you want to fall into want to fall into that and do something else. But every time, all these books I've read about great artists, all these videos I've watched about great artists, I know there's one thing that they keep saying: do not fall into that temptation. Keep your head straight. Do what you love. Do what you think is right. And even if the whole world never really appreciates it, you've done something important in your life. So that's the kind of ethos I have. And I think that will help any other young artist who is thinking of doing art.
Okay. So we already have the speech for the next Young Generation Art Award. Thank you. I'm taking notes. I will pass this on to the generation after you, which is coming. I may say that we just finished the open call for the next Young Generation Art Award, and we had more than 650 applications for the next round. Wow. So this is going to be really interesting. So please follow us. Follow Ken and his great career that is not even starting. I mean, it's just blooming. It's blossoming, I think, at that moment. Yeah. And happy and interesting things are coming. Yeah, you can all come to Freeze and look at the perfect performance. I'm really excited for that performance in October in Freeze. Yes. And I hope to see many more exhibitions and performances and things from you, Ken. Yeah. And I'm really, really happy about this experience with the Young Generation Art Award that we had together. So, are there any questions? We have some minutes left. So, yeah, Christiane, you want to say something? The microphone is coming.
So, if I look on your black and white painted eyes, I wonder if you do it for protecting your people or your figures, or to focus on it, or both.
The eye journey, if you look at my works from when I started making work for myself to date, I've always painted eyes as a focal point of the work. My eye journey is a long journey, you know. When I was younger, I would say I was blind for maybe 3 months, because I was very rough when I was younger. And I was a troublesome guy, but I would fight with my brother, and he would chase me out around the house. And this time, I was running into my parents' room, and you know the door handle.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Don't say it.
It almost made this eye blind, you know, and scratched this spot. So I had a bandage all around my eyes. After it got, my dad's a medical doctor, so he sewed it up. And then I couldn't see for a while. I kept using eye drip. And when they took the bandage off, my eyes was like so big because it was kind of healing. So I would go to school with it, and my friends would laugh at me and say, "Oh, you're Cyclops, you know, pew, 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 you know." And I'd come back home, I'll be so upset. Mom, look at, and my mom would always tell me, "Oh, the eye is the gateway to the soul. The eye is the most powerful part of an image, of a person. You can change everything in your body, you can't change the eyes." You know, and this kind of thing, she kept saying it. And lo and behold, I was so grateful for my eyes, because then I could see. Before, I used to use a bit of glasses. Now I don't use glasses anymore. I can see clearly now. And then I started to really see. And that's why I love the late David Hockney, because he teaches you how to really see. And so when I became an artist, it was a no-brainer, you know. The eyes is something I need to capture completely, and I needed the viewer or the audience to really get drawn into the eyes, because I feel the eyes tell so much about the story. Yes, the image can be so, the composition of the image can be so fantastic, but the eyes, when you look at the eyes, it draws you closer to the actual real core of the conversation, and I think that's why I like the work.
Any other questions? Okay. So thank you very much, Ken. I might repeat the information about the prize game, so we can all win some gold now. I think we do deserve it, and also that there is. We had another like Monopol Magazin publishes editions, art editions, and we have one by the famous artist Leiko Ikemura, which is a small sculpture, silver sculpture, and it's one of her Usagi figures, which is a rabbit goddess, and it's very, very beautiful, and it's on show now at the Degussa place here in Zurich. So that's another invitation. And yeah, now we can keep the conversation going on the terrace with some drinks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.